Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the beat. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty.
Good morning, Bellows, Falls, and Keene, and welcome to the feed. It's Mike and Marty. We're here with the members of 8084, a band that's going to be playing here and has played here a lot in the past. The members that we're with are Frank McCara, Randy Smith, and Frank Barnes. We already changed up what we were going to do, but
anywho,
we
we will officially welcome from undisclosed locations in the state of Vermont, Randy Smith, Andre McCara, and Frank Barnes. Was that better?
I think so.
Okay. Welcome. So, 8084, you began your career in 1982. How did 8084, my first question, why 8084, and how did you guys come together?
We ask ourselves that every day.
Yeah. I can start this one, and then I'll let Frank talk about the name if he wants to. How's that, Frank?
Thanks a lot, yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. We started, we've been playing in different bands for many years, and I met Charlie Hawthorne, the late Charlie Hawthorne, who was living in Charlestown, New Hampshire at the time. He's originally from Springfield. And he was playing in another band with Gary Spalding, the drummer, and I was putting together a band. I'm originally from Western Massachusetts, and we were introduced and went to see each other and decided okay, this sounds like it might be a good fit. And that was late spring of 1982. At that time, Andre and Frank didn't join the band at that point, and they didn't join until the fall of 1982, and went from there. I met Andre. It's a funny story. I met him in Springfield, Massachusetts, playing a club. I kept hearing about this guitar player from this other band, and I went and sitting at a table watching him with a beer on my table, and Andre was wireless at that time, and that was when wireless guitars first came out. And he proceeded to come out and stand his foot up on my table and spilled my beer on me. So I figured it was a match made in heaven. So a couple of years later, we had the band together, and Charlie said, "Who's the best guitar player And I was like, I don't know him, but this is the guy. And he called Andre, and the rest is history."
Nice. So now Frank, you want to talk about...
name goes, I think you asked that question. It's a myth that we're going to hold close to our chests forever and ever. Charlie came up with the name. He never really officially told us why. He hinted at a few things. And we've made up a lot of stories over the years, but I don't want to insult you with any of those. So it's numbers instead of a name. May or may not have something to do with a computer chip. May or may not have something to do with lucky numbers.
No. That was the amount of feet of water that the Titanic sank in.
Oh, the Titanic sink. That's a good one. I always thought it was close because 8084 is the zip code for Colorado Springs, and I thought maybe you had some ties to that you were hiding, but no, it's not.
Oh yeah, we do. That's we'll add that to the list now. Probably that.
I've been there before, but
that counts.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I remember when Charlie first called me. He said the name of the band, and I said, "What?" And it was probably about 4 times I said, "Oh, it's a number." Okay. 80, like Adolf? No, that's not it. 80. So yeah, I was just as confused as the rest of us.
So you got together, and where did you start playing?
Well, as the band that everyone is familiar with, which Andre and Frank are in, the first, which is really close. We actually rehearsed together for 2 days straight, or was it 2 or 3 days? And we stayed together.
Seemed like more.
In a place in Cavendish. It used to be called the Chopping Block.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we actually, it was local there for Charlie and Gary, so we rehearsed there for 2 or 3 days straight, and then the very next club we played at, Frank, wasn't it down in New Hampshire at that, what was that?
We played New Hampshire Tech, didn't we? Was it New Hampshire Tech? That was an early date, but I thought it was Club New England, honestly, but it probably wasn't. So. No. Oh, we can make stuff up. We don't.
I'll show you the Titanic. We were the band that finished the Titanic.
There you go. Perfect. So
After
why?
a busy afternoon of moving the deck chairs around. We
Yes.
played a show at the camp. Yeah, that's what it was.
So why did you choose to? Sounds like a lot of your shows may have been were more of your shows in northern. You guys are focused right now in northern Vermont. I'm guessing you did more shows. There was more clubs in northern Vermont. What made you decide to do a show in Bellows Falls?
Oh, well, we've traveled everywhere, actually. We were touring for, in the late 80s, early 90s, all over the United States, supporting an album. We were sponsored by the Coors Beer Company and a couple other things. So we were actually working with a booking agency out of North Carolina. It wasn't until, we kind of split up for a few years. Not really split up, but we just didn't play live at all. But now we just play in the New England area. Right now we have only two shows this year. One to be announced later this year, but the one in Bellows Falls, we just wanted to be close to where we started the band. We thought that would be fun, and we just don't want to travel anymore. We all have our own families and things we're doing now, and if you haven't noticed, we're not young boys anymore. So being on a tour bus or jumping around, staying up late in a hotel room is not in our cards anytime soon. So that's why we're just doing a couple shows a year, but we want to make them be memorable. We have such great fans, so that's it.
Well, yeah, that's something to be said. I think a lot of what we do now is just as a thank you to our fan base that's been so loyal for so long. I mean, that's a big thing for us. So that's one of the reasons we chose that area, not only historically because that's where we started everything, but also there's a concentration of a fan base there too. And we also chose that particular venue for our, we'll call our aging demographic. Nobody wants to stand on a concrete floor for 2 hours, so we wanted to make sure there was adequate seating, and so again, a lot of what we do is really predicated on just as a thank you or our loyal fans over the years.
Nice. So we do have a clip that you guys provide us with, so that might be a good time to do that. So if somebody's watching that miraculously has never heard of you, they can get a taste.
To them, I say, welcome to Earth.
What about the clip did you need to know? I'm not sure which clip it is.
It's a clip that's on your promo Dropbox that you sent me. So it's a compilation of, it looks like a recent concert.
Okay, yeah, sure. That was kind of a show reel that we use for our EPK, our electronic press kit, for all you kids that are taking notes. Yeah, that's a combination of songs. When we play live, we have 5 albums out. And
5? I always lose track. People ask, how many albums do you have? Like,
maybe 6.
I have 6 in my notes.
At least.
The first one, so the first one did really well in Europe, but now, it's like that was 35 years ago. So now what we do is we tend to play some of our own material, quite a bit of our own material during the show, but then we do some classics. So I think on that clip there is a Kansas song by Kansas, and the end song we close the night out with Rod Stewart, a classic Faces tune.
Yeah.
So a little bit of original, a little bit of snippets of some covers.
Okay, well, let's roll the clip.
Let's roll the clip.
in our minds, and our words are often left unsaid. Our memories out inside our heads. We never learn till it seems too late. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Every day I feel the pain. Wish that I could walk away. I wonder if it's all in vain. Without you I might go insane. Looking for the man I am. Wondering if we'll meet again. I can feel the earth shake. I can feel the daybreak. I can feel my heartache. But I can't feel you. Who's that knocking at my door? Gotta be a part of mine. Or getting you again. Coming round for more. You can love me and I'll leave you out. In the bottom, make sure you're out talking. Out of line, wearing me out. Out of line, screaming shout. Or out of line, back in school. Love your heartache.
Having 8084, it's easy to chant.
Yeah,
at the
it's
end.
great for
It really
chanting.
is. And that was from a show we shot, 4 or 5 camera crew we had come in and shoot a show at Higher Ground in Burlington.
Ah,
So speaking of high ground, I have a refresh my memory question. Did you do a show at Higher Ground when Higher Ground was still in Winooski, when April Wine was there? Aha, then I was there. I was there. Okay, I was there. Okay.
Marty's going back to her past.
I'm trying to remember where I've seen you guys. I think of a combination of twice, and that was one. And the only thing I remember is everyone was normal sound level, and then April Wine came on, blew your eardrums out. Yeah.
That's
So that
April Wine.
that was the show. Okay, then I was all right. So I'm not losing my mind. I was there. Okay. So that's just one of the bands that
We've done a lot of shows with April Wine. We've become pretty good buddies with that band, and they've done some favors for us too. Back when we first started having our flood incidents in Vermont, so it was like 25 years ago. We did a flood stock show that we put on up in Highgate. And April Wine came down and just played for free to help us raise money. Sorry, I'll stop now.
I was gonna say,
No, keep going.
Yeah, because they had flooding in Montgomery where Brian lived at the time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Remember that?
Yeah.
so.
Vaguely.
So speaking of shows, here's another question. What is your most memorable show? If you had to name one, can you each come up with the most memorable show?
Well, there was a rock surge in Canada. We played Olympic Stadium for 10,000 people. That was fun. I remember that one. Just remember
It was the Velodrome.
at the Velodrome. Yeah, it was just a wall of humans.
That was cool. I don't know, maybe the first time we played Spring Break at Spinnaker's in Florida, and I don't know, Panama City Beach, that's a memory I can't forget.
You can't
You
say.
can't erase.
And we played a show, too.
Oh, they said show. That's the first time I'd ever seen a thong. Baby.
Really?
Well, you are dating yourself if that was the first time you met. That was a while ago.
Yeah, and I wasn't looking or anything, I heard it.
You heard it. You heard it.
Did
So-
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Don't point you two.
I know. I have lots of questions. So, you've opened. So you April Wine, Blue Oyster Cult, Warrant, Edgar Winter. Are there any? Did you have any favorites? Sounds like April Wine. You had a good relationship. Are there any ones that you're like, now we don't want to do that again, or you don't want to say?
Well,
in case they're watching.
Me, I mean, I grew up listening to Blue Oyster Cult, and Buck Dharma was my guitar hero. So getting to open for a bunch of shows and getting to know Buck was a real treat for me. So that was probably my favorite of the bands. That we met them. It was funny. We met them at Spinnaker in Panama City. So, we're tying all the stories back in here, we went on to play a lot of shows with those guys over the years. And again, for a guitar player, when you get to meet your heroes, it's always a treat. It's always a thrill.
For me, the most memorable thing was we opened for Edgar Winter a few times too, and we did a show up in Waterville, Maine, and we had to share a dressing room, and everybody was out getting dinner or something or whatever, and I was in the dressing room alone with Edgar, and such a wonderful, warm human being and an amazing musician. And he asked me, he said, do you mind if I warm up on my saxophone? And he said, of course not. And he gets his saxophone out and he's walking around and just playing all this cool stuff with just him and me there. And it was an awesome memory for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
That would be amazing. Have you played the Opera House before?
No.
Oh. What made you?
The shows we do now are always in little larger venues. We haven't done bars for years or anything like that. We try to do, higher grounds, the Opera House, the Claremont Opera House, the Paramount, things like that. Because they allow us, I think, to really actually present a show, they hold a good amount of people, and as Andre alluded to earlier, that our demographic's a little older, so seated is good, and it's nothing wrong with that because people always get up and dance anyway. They come to the front of the stage and dance. It just gives them the option to sit down when they're tired. But we've never played there before, but it's such a beautiful room. I've been in the room. It's fantastic. It's such a nice place. We're excited to be on that stage.
Great. Do you plan on doing all original sets, or are you going to do some mix in the classics as you called it before?
Andre?
Yeah, well, I'd say it's probably 70% original stuff. But there are also, again, as an homage to the fans and everything, we like to throw songs in that were big hits over the years that our fans really like. So that's always been our kind of MO when it comes to creating a set list is find something for everybody and try to cover a lot of bases as far as chronologically and also stylistically. So I think that's our approach anyway.
What was your biggest hit?
Well,
Go ahead.
I'd say probably Bad Man.
Badman, Andre wrote Badman. Wait, gosh, when was it? No, we were living in Manchester in the house.
1957.
We all moved to Manchester, New Hampshire in 1986 and left our families, and we rented a house because we were recording our first album in Boston. And you can imagine all of us and the guys and crew living in one house together. Boy, that was clean. But Andre wrote it there, I believe, and it's a wonderful song. It's a great story.
Great.
So you mentioned when you were talking about the Bells Falls show how you are allowed to perform a show, and I think that's a big difference with, and I'm a bit biased, with bands of the 80s. And especially local bands of the 80s, is you put on a show. Like, I guess one question for Andre is, can you still do those jumps?
Yeah, I just had knee surgery in November, so I'm in recovery, as they say in the business. But yeah, that's the goal. That's my surgeon said, if you keep doing that, it's not going to be good for your knees. I said, I have a choice. No, I mean, when you get on stage, you have this sacred bond that with your audience that you will always give, 100%. I don't believe in 110 because I know math, but they'll get 100%. And when you leave the stage, your tank is empty. I mean, that's the whole thing. And I think one of the lost arts is understanding that we're not just musicians. And I don't want to sound lofty, but when you get on stage, you're not just a musician. You're a performer. You're an entertainer. For goodness sake, entertain. Don't be just standing around doing nothing. You want to engage your audience. And I like to think with a lot of kinetic energy, just the movement, everything it pulls everybody in, creates an energy spiral that just keeps going up if you do it right. So I answer your question, yes. Yes, I do.
That's great.
Okay, good to know. No, I agree. I think that came through on your video, and I think that's what people that might be on the fence about going, like maybe if you really want to see a good performance, a good show with classic music, then buy your tickets. Go to the Bellows Falls Opera House, get a ticket. There's seats available. I'm doing a shameless plug for you guys right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
that's a big thing, and I think you don't.
I think it's going to sell out myself.
Is that your goal? Selling out? Always your goal, of course.
And the thing too is we're one of the things that we try to do because over the years, as you get older, you start understanding life, get a better, you get a better sense of who you are and what life is about. And, as we've gotten older, we try to give back the best we can along with the show. So we had heard about a fire that happened to someone, an ex-boyfriend set a farm on fire. I think her last name, I think is it Lima Leland? Does that sound right? Lima Leland?
That does, I believe that is the correct last name, yes. Her house was out in Athens, Vermont, yes.
So we heard about that, so we reached out and, she has a GoFundMe and things like that, and we said, look, we're going to give you free tickets to the show, bring some friends, bring your family, we'll give you the VIP experience, and we'll make a couple shout outs to your GoFundMe. Because that's what people are supposed to do. You're supposed to help other people. It's not just about us, it's about what we can do with a little. Somebody gave us a vehicle to be able to help others, and then you should use it.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
So I'm going to go back in the day. So what were some of your favorite local bands to go see?
8084.
Naturally. Who else?
I hear they're great.
I heard the guitar player still can jump up and down. And the bass player, man, he used to sing Toto. Man, he used to sing Hold the Line. Wow.
Yeah. I still remember getting chills the first time Frank sang that. We're playing around at rehearsal when we're doing a sound check in Barrie, Vermont, and I was just goofing off, and I was playing the Toto song, and and Frank started singing, like I was just getting goosebumps when he started singing. Captain sing. So
being the lead singer, I ran and hid in the dressing room and started looking for a new job.
I was gonna say, it's a funny question because when we were playing full time on the circuit, rarely did we get a night off where we could actually see anything. We had friends who played in bands, but I think it was really difficult to actually get out. And if you had a night off, sometimes the last thing you wanted to do was go to the office for another day of work. But they were great bands. Back in the day, people could do this for a living. It wasn't avocation. There was you could earn a living like we did, and just playing the circuit full time. And because of that, there were bands out there that were just amazing, just because that was their job. Bands out of Boston, bands from all over New England. They were just great. Bands like the Jimmy Carter Show, Run 21, those guys, man, they understood the whole idea of performance. And those guys were kind of like they kind of started on the circuit. They were one of the first bands that really put on a big show and understood when you're there, it's the circus comes to town mentality. You want to have that kind of a larger than life persona.
I hate to cut you off. I hate to cut you guys off because we're just getting rolling, but unfortunately, we have run out of time. And I meant to give you a better warning. So let's just remind everybody where they can get tickets. Bellows Falls Opera House, 8084, Saturday, June 7th. Doors open at 6:30, show at 7:30.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, and thank you for putting up with our janky, clunky, whatever you want to call this mess.
Hey, you guys rock. It was fun to talk. I hope you both come to the show so we can give you the VIP experience too.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you for having
All right.
us.
Thank
That was
you.
Thank you.
sweet.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. And that's it for the feed. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, folks.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music.